And it's like, I always start a video off like that. But first and foremost, let me just say this. We're not always going to be in the high horse of life. Sometimes that's just the way it is. Um, you know, I found myself in an experience where I backtracked, you know, had a setback. Internally or wherever the case may be, it was a setback. And sometimes when it comes to setbacks, we sometimes let a setback kind of take control of our mind, kind of take control over our dominion. We think another way about ourselves. And at least I found myself in that position. And yeah, tis the season. But ultimately, when it comes to times when we backtrack or we backslid or we go against our word, it's very easy to find yourself kind of picking at yourself, you know, kicking a dead horse type situation. A lot of times, the things that we say that we relapse over, or the things that we say that we don't want to do no more. It's just shadows. Parts parts that you rejected of yourself. This could be from a long time. This could be something that you're still doing. But a lot of us can find ourselves a lot of times rejecting ourselves. At least I know I can. Um, you have to fucking be human. That's it. However you gonna feel is however you gonna feel. That's your experience and your life experience alone. Nobody can't take away your life experience. Nobody can't take away your life experience. That's it. This is your life experience, and everything is happening and everything is here for you, right? Every single feeling that you have, every single interaction that you encounter, every single thing is for you and you alone. That's it. That's it. You can't you can't you can if you want to, but beating yourself up and everything else over the choices that you make, knowing that at the end of the day you're just living life, you're just living God's life. Blasphemy. You know, it's the mistakes that we made that made us the people that we are today. It's the choices that we made before that we look back on and we kind of regret and everything else. It's those actions that made us the disciplined person, that made us the abundant person, that made us the hardworking person, the being, just the being that we are now. Is those right there. It's those right there that give us the ability to have empathy towards others, to have compassion towards others, to have love towards others. There's nothing wrong with your life experience, even though and I'm talking to myself too, obviously. You know you know the progress you made. No matter what, you know the progress that you made. If you found yourself falling backwards, or if you found yourself having a setback, if it's that season for you, if it's that week, if it's that day, yeah, if it's that day, if it's that moment, think about it like this, man. Because like if you're here, then you have to think about this every day. You you didn't have to wake up today, dude. You didn't have, like you don't have no control, little to none, like the energy within you. Like you didn't have to, because like regardless, regardless whether we like it or not, regardless of how we feel about it, everything can go. And that includes this body. It can go. All the forms can go. That's why living authentically, like because we're just living authentically. We can try to obsess over manifestation. We can try to obsess over fucking, you know, doing the right thing all the fucking time. We can try to fucking seek and search and search and search and search and search and search. But really in reality, life is right in front of us, dog. Literally right in front of us. Clear as day. Clear as day. There ain't nothing else that we need to get, receive, nothing. There ain't nothing else. There ain't nothing else but besides presence. Find yourself having a setback, you be aware of it. Be conscious of you going back to old fucking habits. Be conscious of it. At least you're conscious of it now. You're aware of it. You see what's going on. And you know there's a part of you that don't like it. Don't like it. And I told you. Said it before, I'm gonna say it again. It's not the people. It's not the people's fault, man. It's not the people's fault. It's not nobody's fault. You know, a lot of times the negative situations or the negative experiences and everything else that we find ourselves in, we put ourselves in that. We play a major part in that. And when it comes to the journey of awareness, you're just always aware, like you know, like and like you know, and like you have compassion, like you're just oh man, like like shit. Sometimes maybe sometimes you gotta realize you're doing more harm than good when you're trying to do more. A lot of us find ourselves trying to do more, trying to do more, be more, trying to get more. And it's like, at what cost? At what cost? We want to be here, we want to be there, we want to do this, we want to do that. I found myself in a situation where I had to ask myself if something was feeding my flesh or feeding my soul. And after I made that decision, I'm down 2 beers and a cigarette. So I guess that meant I fed my flesh. And, you know, please forgive me, of course. But a lot of times, not a lot, but being aware, it doesn't exclude you from, falling into the traps of the game and everything else. You're aware. You're aware of what's happening. And, at some point, you thought these things. Now, at some point, just based off your actions and everything else, that makes everything a reality. Everything around you. But it's not fuck the reflections. Fuck the reflections. Fuck the reflections. Fuck what they're reflecting back at you. Fuck them, right? How do you feel on the inside? Whenever you do anything, right? Whenever you do anything, right? Let's just say, let's just say you had like a boring day, right? Like you have like these like boring days and it's quiet and like you're doing all these like disciplined stuff like going to the woods, walking, fucking working out quietly and shit like that, like all these things, meditating, all these fucking things. and then you finally give in, right? You finally give in to that desire, right? Like all the nasty fun and all the rest of it, all the backflips and all the rest of it. You appreciate those quiet times more because now your mind is loud. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like it's quiet, but your mind is loud, man. Right, baby? I'm talking to my cat. You guys fucking watching. You guys fucking watching this video. Well, fuck, you call me baby. The fuck is motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm sorry, guys, but in all seriousness, your mind gets loud after you finally reach that desire, like like 9 times out of 10, we're talking about our favorite subject in the world, right? Intercourse. And and it's like and it's like and it's like of course, and it's like of course it all depends on who you're doing it with, like you gotta know the person, like blah blah blah, all the things. But like just even whatever, right? Whatever vice that you have, right? You indulge. Everything gets loud. And all them quiet times that you had, all them times that like you built the discipline, you built the fortitude to actually get to know yourself and everything else. Like you start to reminisce about them times, and you start to kind of work towards that. Because ultimately we're here to integrate and we're here to transcend anyway. Nobody, no, there's no blaming, there's no none of that shit when it comes to over here. When it comes to over here where we're at the end of the day, whoever we're dealing with, somebody else is dealing, like, so we're all dealing with something. And whoever you're dealing with, you have to appreciate that. Excuse me. You have to appreciate that. No, you have to appreciate that on all levels. You have to appreciate that on all levels, man. You have to appreciate the times that you fell back, because like you can learn from it. Like you're at this stage in your life where it's like, man, like it's nothing to like be sad about or anything, like, like just learn from it. Just learn from it, and it's like, yes, 100%. Ultimately, you'll know where you're at just based off, like the actions that you do and everything else at the moment. But the one thing that you do need to know is that you can always change it. You can always change the moment. You can always change, your mood and all them other things. You can always change it. You can always change it. And it's like you don't have to wait, you know. You don't have to wait for change to happen or anything like that. You don't have to wait. You know what I mean? You don't have to. You really don't have to. You gotta understand that all of it's just part of the journey. Anyway, if you're not over here learning something, then then no shit is going to repeat itself. But give yourself grace. Give yourself room. Give yourself room to be human. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Give yourself room to be human. Give yourself room. Because it's like, you're really gonna beat yourself up forever when these setbacks and everything else do happen for the rest of your life. No, you can't just worry about manifesting the greatest future ever and think that like being human, like that's just it, like like you just outgrew all human emotion and experience and everything else. No. But you're still living in this body, there's still things to learn. There's still things to learn, there's still ways to grow. There's still ways to grow, there's still ways to be, there's still ways to be infinite. There's still ways to be whoever you want to be. And it's like, like taking care of your energy, like that shit is required. It is required. Because we find ourselves in these like attachments and everything else. And sometimes these attachments don't these attachments these attachments don't feel good and everything else, and like it can be hectic in our minds, it can be hectic in our hearts, it can be hectic in our souls, and all of that's part of life too. you know all of that's part of life too. The fucking the mess, like the situationships, the soul ties, the fucking all of that, like all of that is just the beauty of life, because it's like, okay, that's it. Like, is it, that's it. You know, um, I found myself, I changed my mind about a lot of things, but the one thing I changed my mind about, really crazy. The one thing I changed my mind about was sex. Now, like that subject, let me just say this, it's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as it's consensual, obviously, and you're doing it with somebody that you love. And that's the emphasis. It's probably not the most popular, but it's a very big emphasis on that, because because that subject right there is deep. It's life. That's life right there. And and it's like just that alone brings up so much wisdom and so much knowledge. That's the reason why. I'm not gonna say that's the reason why. I'm just speaking from self. A big reason why a motherfucker's in this position of of awakening and what's up, baby? Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys, but that's all I was saying. That's what I was saying. Um, when it comes to that subject, there's a lot of wisdom that comes from that because now, like I'm just speaking from experience, because just just a just one of those like loops because it's like it brings up so much attachment, so much emotion off of something like that. And it's like if you don't have dominion over it, you don't have control over it, and so on and so forth. Brings up a lot of emotion towards the realm around you, if that makes sense. Um, and I don't know why I'm trying to explain it so technical. It just brings up a lot of fucking mess. A lot of mess. A lot of it. Only because it brings up a lot of mess inside you. You feel many ways about it, you know? And it's like now you feel many ways about it because you're growing up. You're different now. You know better. Now I mean, so once you know better, it's like, oh fuck, I shouldn't be doing that. And it's like, yeah, but like you shouldn't reject parts of you. You shouldn't reject parts of who you are. That's just how I'm saying it. Is it? Just lust and gluttony and everything else. Yeah, like, yeah, we feel these ways about it and everything else. But ultimately, I don't know how to say this. Ultimately, live your fucking life. I know it might not make sense. I know I'm all over the place, but truly live your life, Just truly be. And, you know, like, whatever happens, you move on from there. A lot of times you can't always just beat yourself up just based off living.